Grand River Southeast, GRSE, is this incredible village in the southeast of Mauritius, right by the Indian Ocean. Back in the 17th century, the Dutch named it Grote River, Great River, because they used it to stock and ship ebony wood. Nowadays, the people in GRSE mostly make a living by fishing, and the village has cool local groups and things to check out. There's even a waterfall, and it's super popular with both tourists and locals. Allow me to quote Yagna Singh Daur. Now, there's this jungle, right? And these fancy villas pop up from it, all cool and covered in stucco. They kind of take up a bunch of space, especially the rich folks part. A bit of where I'm from got covered up when they built these fancy houses, and their even fancier twin, the Anahita. I got worried once during this big tide day when there was a massive earthquake in Sumatra in 2004. I thought the village might get washed away, and bits of our lives might end up in Africa, where most of our people are from. It felt like this weird reverse middle passage. Little did I know then that there are other ways places can disappear, like humans messing things up or making deals that change how a place looks or lives. What I'm telling you about this place comes from a mix of real moments, things I felt, stories I half heard while half asleep, and maybe some stuff I made up. I found old photos from ages ago, all sepia-toned and mysterious, hiding in drawers that lost their keys. So, this fishing village is a big deal for me, especially because of my late grandmother, Devi Sri Monty. Imagine her porch with stone steps, and she's there, crouching and weeding with her hair all oily. You can see the sea from her yard, and it's like this ghost moving away with a huge, blue sheet between its strides. The bamboo range and Mont Villar in the distance, with smoky shadows coming down at sundown. Lights from faraway houses. Some days, it still feels exactly like that. Even though trees block the view of our house from the main road, it's just a short walk from the village milestone and not far from where we grab groceries. The house is a bit crumbly, but it's got this timeless sea feel to it. My uncle's always in the backyard with his boat, fixing it up to keep the seawater out. He's got cool stories from the edges of unknown waters. We come from India and Africa, he'd say, we're all their sons and daughters. Sometimes, he talks about our memories scattered at sea, lost and unclaimed. Past the street with speedboats and food vans, there's this sludgy strip where the Grand River meets the sea. Sadly, it took lives last year, including a 2-year-old and a woman trying to save him. This old river mouth is magnetic, dangerous, and without its challenges, it might just disappear. It's like the heart of the place, you know? If it goes away, the village might lose its essence and vanish. coast of Mauritius play a vital role in the local economy and culture. Fishing has been a traditional way of life in Mauritius for centuries, and the East Coast, with its abundant marine resources, has a thriving community of fishermen. Here are some aspects of the fisherman's life on the East Coast. 1. Lifestyle. Fishing is not just an occupation, it's a way of life for many families on the East Coast. The fishermen often follow a daily routine dictated by the tides, weather conditions, and the seasonal migration of fish. 2. Traditional techniques. Many fishermen on the East Coast use traditional fishing techniques that have been passed down through generations. This includes using handcrafted wooden boats, nets, and lines. Traditional pirogues, a type of small canoe, are still commonly used for nearshore fishing. 3. Variety of fish. The east coast of Mauritius is known for its rich marine biodiversity. Fishermen here catch a variety of fish, including tuna, dorado, kingfish, grouper, and snapper. The abundance of fish contributes to the livelihoods of the fishing communities. 4. Fishing villages. The East Coast is dotted with fishing villages where you can find colorful boats lined up along the shores. These villages often have a close-knit community, and fishing is not just a profession but a shared identity. 5. Fish markets. The catch from the East Coast makes its way to local fish markets, providing fresh seafood to both locals and visitors. Markets in towns like Mahebourg and Flock are vibrant places where you can experience the bustling trade of freshly caught fish. 6. Challenges. Like fishermen worldwide, those on the East Coast face challenges such as changing weather patterns, overfishing concerns, and environmental issues. They are also adapting to modern technology to enhance their fishing methods while maintaining a balance with sustainable practices. 7. Cultural heritage. Fishing on the East Coast is not just an economic activity, it's deeply intertwined with the cultural heritage of the region. Many cultural events and festivals celebrate the fishing traditions, and the knowledge of the sea is passed down from one generation to the next. 8. Community spirit. The sense of community among the fishermen is strong. They often collaborate to share knowledge, resources, and assistance when needed. Community-based initiatives for sustainable fishing practices are also gaining traction. 9. Tourism and fishing. With the growth of tourism in Mauritius, some fishermen on the East Coast may also engage in providing fishing experiences for tourists. This allows visitors to learn about traditional fishing methods and experience the daily life of a fisherman. The fishermen of the East Coast of Mauritius contribute not only to the local economy but also to the cultural richness of the region. Their way of life reflects a harmonious relationship with the sea and the traditions that have sustained communities for generations. The roads on the east coast of Mauritius are pretty good, all smooth and well kept. But, you know, there are some things you should watch out for when you're driving.
Traffic. Sometimes, the road can get pretty busy, especially during rush hours and holidays. You might find slow drivers, big buses, trucks, and people walking around. Just be patient and careful. Road closures. Every now and then, a part of the road might be closed for fixing stuff or building things. It could mess up your plans, so it's a good idea to check if everything's clear before you head out. Most of the signs are easy to understand, but they might not always show the names of places in English. Some places have different names in English and French, so keep an eye out for both. Like Trou d'eau douce is also called Deux Frères, and Poste Lafayette is also called Poste de Floc. Road conditions. The road is usually smooth, but it can change depending on the weather. Sometimes it gets narrow, twisty, or hilly, so take it slow. Watch out for potholes, speed bumps, and maybe even some animals on the road.
Fort Hendrik was a small fort built by the Dutch in 1638 on the southeast coast of Mauritius, near the village of Vieux Grand Port. It was named after Frederik Hendrik, the stadtholder of the Netherlands and the brother of Prince Maurice, after whom Mauritius was named. The fort was destroyed by fire in 1695 and later rebuilt by the French, who also established a settlement around it. The site is now a historical museum that displays artifacts and ruins from the colonial era. The first place where the Dutch landed in Mauritius was Gran Port. The Dutch were the first Europeans to arrive on the island in 1598. They named the island Mauritius in honor of Prince Maurice of Nassau, who was a key figure in the Dutch Republic. Here are some key points about the Dutch landing in Gran Port. 1. Historical context. The Dutch East India Company, led by Admiral Wybrand van Warrijk, made the first recorded landing on the island in 1598 during an expedition to the East Indies. However, their initial attempt to establish a settlement was not successful. 2. Abandonment and rediscovery. The Dutch abandoned Mauritius after their first attempt, and the island remained uninhabited by Europeans for several decades. It was later rediscovered by the Dutch in 1638 when they established a more permanent presence. 3. Gran Port. Gran Port, located on the southeast coast of the island, played a significant role in the early Dutch exploration and colonization efforts. The natural harbor at Gran Port provided a strategic location for ships to anchor and replenish supplies. 4. Ebony exploitation. One of the primary reasons for the Dutch interest in Mauritius was the abundance of ebony trees. The Dutch exploited these ebony forests for their valuable wood, which was highly sought after in European markets. 5. Limited settlement. While the Dutch had a presence in Mauritius, their attempts at establishing a permanent settlement were limited. The harsh conditions, including cyclones and a lack of freshwater sources, made sustained colonization challenging. 6. Abandonment and arrival of other colonizers. The Dutch ultimately abandoned their efforts in Mauritius in the mid-17th century. Subsequently, the French and later the British arrived on the island, each leaving their mark on its history and culture. 7. Legacy. Despite the relatively brief Dutch presence, their initial exploration and exploitation of resources, especially ebony, left a lasting impact on Mauritius. The island's history is a complex tapestry woven by various colonial powers. While Gran Port was the first landing site for the Dutch in Mauritius, subsequent colonial powers contributed significantly to the island's development and cultural heritage. Today, Gran Port is known not only for its historical significance but also for its picturesque landscapes and rich marine life.